Welcome. I'm so delighted to have a friend here to talk to today. So it just makes conversation a little bit more flowy. And I'm here talking with my friend Diane, and we go back quite a ways. Um, we were together in exploring reality dialogues and systemic constellation work. So that's kind of our connection. And so I wanted to share something because I was with some friends in a Zoom group today, and it was a non-dual conversation, non-dual, so to speak. And what I really appreciate about the group is that they're not, I mean, even if they're radical non-dual, they're not radical in that we don't start arguing with each other. I mean, there's probably about maybe four or six of us, and we just, we have conversations and we express our points of view. And sometimes the non-dual point of view sounds pretty like this is the way it is. So, one of the things that I heard and I hear frequently is, well, there's no one here. There's no one here who experienced pain. There's no one here uh, to feel sad. There's just no one here. And I don't know why that just, I don't know. Um, and the other item that was brought up was, oh, someone was talking about feelings, and I was asking, well, um, there is there is a there can be a distinction between um, sensation and emotion, right? I mean, sensation like body tension or um, a pain or physical pain or what other kind of an itch. There's different kinds of sensation, and then emotion or feeling is something like anxiety or sadness or fear or joy. And so, do you find that it's helpful to have, distinctions at times, when you are, wanting to look into something that's going on for you? I mean, what's your sense of it?
My experience is noticing and being aware of the sensation in the body that alerts me that something's going on, whether it's a feeling, um, a thought that's creating the feeling, that's creating the sensation, the belief of something. So to me, I think they go hand in hand. I don't know.
Got a little bee
Yeah,
going
there's a
on.
little bee next to you. That's okay. Sure. Even the other plants. Um, so I think what's the challenge for me sometimes is feeling an emotion, um, and letting the emotion be, determining, how do I say this, kind of distinguishing between an emotion that's simply an emotion that's arising versus an emotion that is a result of a thought that I'm believing that might be an inaccurate thought. So, for example, sadness that I might be missing a loved one, either not here, have passed on or just not in my experience, which is just sad. It's just sad, missing versus having a feeling of, say, anxiety or overwhelm because I have to pack for my trip and I might not get it done, and that's a sensation in the body. So um both are okay because it's a feeling, but um
Are you saying
yeah,
that the sadness because you're missing someone who's passed on is more acceptable? I mean, that's kind of what it sounds like.
no, I guess what I'm saying is to be able to understand myself and what the feeling or what the sensation is kind of determines how I might go about experiencing that. So, um, sadness that I'm missing a loved one, um, I'd sit with that, allow that feeling, allow the memories of that person to be, versus if I'm overwhelmed or anxiety, it's still okay, but an opportunity to say, okay, what's really going on here? What am I believing? How can I breathe into this so that um, I can bring calm and work with whatever situation that's causing this. So,
So it's kind of a bit remedial. It sounds like the second one is a bit remedial, and the first one is like, okay, well, I'm just missing someone, and that's okay, and I'll just be with the missing, and that's fine. But I'm just curious, this is just a curiosity. Might they both be connected to a story? Because I mean, this is just my curiosity. This is what's kind of prompting this entire exploration, as far as I'm concerned. Um, the individual who's passed on um, is not here except in my thought in the imagination. Yeah. So maybe they are treated both the same way. You just I mean, because there's not one. I mean, it sounds like you're saying, well, one is okay because, and then the other one, well, I could work with that in a certain kind of way and kind of get more calm about it, kind of change the.
no, I hear what you're saying, but I think it's more seeing the second with anxiety being an opportunity to see deeper of what the story
Uh-huh.
is. Um,
That is beautiful. But so let me just ask, and I'm sorry, I'm like kind of jumping in
you're
it,
fine.
but wouldn't that also apply to the first one about missing someone? Because if you're saying that the anxiety is not wrong, then okay, then neither is the missing someone. So why is it that I need to get calm with the anxiety, uh, but not with the sad? I mean, it's very subtle, isn't it?
So yeah, I guess is yeah, the difference is that the anxiety and overwhelm is um, disrupting the experience of, I guess it's all flowing, but is disrupting my experience of um, getting what I need to get done. I need to pack or I need to do something. Um, whereas allow sadness isn't interrupting anything,
Mhm.
allowing the feeling to, yeah,
It's subtle, isn't
yeah,
it? And this is what I love about these conversations. It's helping us see the way we hold things to be. there is such a subtle and sometimes not so subtle um, judgment about what's okay and what isn't, or what's less okay, and um, I don't want to dismiss anything, but sadness is usually connected to some kind of a story about loss of something.
Mm.
And and of course in the relative reality, sure there's loss and this sort of thing. But in the infinite, which is kind of what we're exploring here, nothing is lost. Appearance is always changing. So things come and
Yeah, I
go.
see. I mean, yeah, I mean, loss. I'm making a story that the imagination is saying that that person is no longer here when in reality they're here all the time in my imagination or my memory. They don't really go anywhere.
Well,
Um,
or maybe not. Maybe they're not always here. I mean, some people could say, yeah, they're always here in my memory or my imagination. Someone else might say, because perspective. It's all the different ways we hold perspective, and also could be said, you know, no person was ever here. Everything was simply an appearance in this presence. I mean, again, it's how we hold reality to be. And there is no right or wrong way. There's no better or not as good way. When it's seen how reality actually is and how it's been held because of just, consensus reality programming, it's really quite remarkable.
yeah, as with the anxiety and overwhelm, I mean, I know myself pretty well to know where that's coming from. I don't really need to spend a lot of time in the story. I mean, breathing and bringing myself to the dimensions and to awareness really is what's called for at that time. Getting back to this, I initially feel it in the body, the
Mhm.
sensation in the body of that feeling or that sensation, which I guess we label as a feeling. I label as a feeling as
And we
opposed to
label
just
body
we label body.
because if you close the eyes,
It's just
you
sensation.
recognize that body is an idea.
Mhm.
And we've learned to identify body and me.
Mhm.
So that comment that other person made, in the Zoom talk where they said, well, who's here to feel the sensation? Maybe it's just that I don't like the wording. Maybe that just kind of bugs me. Who's here? It's maybe it's not about who or what is here. Maybe it's recognizing that there is some consciousness that is perceiving. I, you know, to me, that just feels, I don't even know what word to use, than hearing it said, well, who's here to feel anything? Something is perceiving. I mean, you know, whoever is watching this video, even if we're not calling it a person, um, there is some perception happening. So,
Yeah, that I get um the challenge to understand. I think one thing recently that has helped me understand what you're saying better is on one of these Zooms you and in class had talked about, when you're cooking or when you're sweeping the floor or on a walk or whatever, and you're just there. You're just doing what you're doing without um a story. You're just doing it and you're going in the flow.
Right. But let me
And
just ask, just to clarify here, who is the you?
well,
You're
okay, what I was going to say is that in the example that you gave is there is, you don't, at that time, I'm not feeling that there's a self doing that. It's just happening. And so that experience of there no quote self occurs without me quote doing anything. It just occurs more often than I'm aware of.
Mhm.
And understanding that and really feeling that really helped me understand what it means that there's no quote self, that there's nobody here. It's that there's still perceiving, there's still understanding or hearing, and the sensations. It's just
You're still
not,
walking,
and walking.
talking,
It's just not a personal connection to a story that I've made about myself
for an
or
identity.
an identity. And realizing that, what you said, that we don't need an identity to cook, to walk, to clean. Those things can happen without an identity. And that kind of helped me understand what it means that there's no self, that there's no one here, but we're still perceiving, we're still experiencing.
That is what's here.
Yeah.
Is perceiving
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't belong to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just a fascinating um reorienting from our, conditioned learning. I mean, we all knew this as toddlers, but we just didn't have any language for it. It was just experiencing. It was just the flow of experience. And then, we learned all these ideas and that just got hammered in. So that's, here we are. So you were going to mention something about pain and what you heard on Byron Katie.
Yeah, just when one's talking about that there's no quote self feeling pain, that pain is either something anticipated or something remembered. Um, and when I'm experience sensation that feels an awful lot like pain
Well,
and
that you're calling
uncomfortableness,
that you're calling pain.
that I'm calling pain. So
See,
is
even to
that
say that it feels an awful lot like, I mean, it's this recognition that we're labeling something. We're labeling a sensation as something that has a very bad rap, obviously.
but is the implication that if you don't call it pain and you just call it sensation or don't call it anything, that you won't be feeling discomfort? Or is it that this story, that by feeling it, by having the story arise about the last time you had pain, or oh my gosh, and you keep saying it, enhances the pain, like makes the pain worse?
Well, that's a
Or
really good question. And that is a fabulous question. And that is where, exploring the immediacy of experience is, spot on. Because, I know Peter used to talk about um, that very specifically. And would suggest, if see what happens if you don't label any sensation. See what happens when it's just felt as sensation, and see if the story arises, because you're right, the story will absolutely uh, exacerbate whatever is being experienced.
and I did have an experience not that long ago with the dentist, and they were cleaning my teeth, and it was creating some sensation that, yeah, I would call discomfort, pain. And I breathed into it, and I kept saying, okay, just focus on what I'm feeling, what am I actually feeling? And it did subside a bit. I mean, it was still uncomfortable, but
So it didn't go away,
it didn't
but
go away, but it was less uncomfortable and
see, that's
more, I don't know, easier to get through, I guess, without.
Well, that's
So I guess
fascinating.
that's,
You know, what
yeah.
I'm hearing you say, a little roundabout way is when you redirected attention,
Mhm.
what you were calling pain seemed to diminish
Mhm.
somewhere. I mean, somehow it, the redirecting of the attention seemed to diminish what you were labeling as pain.
Yeah.
And, that's a fabulous way to play with experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess I kind of answered my own question in that experience, but it's, um,
What did you,
well,
what did Byron Katie say that,
well, I guess the same that, pain is either in anticipation or a memory. And in the moment, there is no pain, but she doesn't go into what that means. And so, um,
so maybe she's saying, I mean, because you can't, there's no pain, but maybe she's not denying anything. Maybe
mhm.
she's saying nothing is what we are claiming it to be.
Yeah. And she's big on the thought about things create suffering, and I mean we all are. So it's really the thought about the pain that can create more suffering. Like I was just saying, like thinking, oh, this shouldn't be happening. Oh, this, why am I in pain? That I can see how that can double down on the suffering.
Or it's always going
Yeah.
to be like this.
Yeah.
When is it going to stop?
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
hmm
it's all understandable, but it's this shift in recognition can just make things well, not even, I don't even want to say make things.
hmm
This shift in recognition um, allows us to meet experience in a new way.
hmm Also, I experienced the miraculousness of nature and of awareness that pain is telling us something that, um, either something's healing or something was cut or something is. So it's just the miraculousness of how
How nature
just nature
works.
works. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm just delighted that we had this chance
Mhm.
to, that I had this opportunity to actually have a conversation and receive your impressions and have this really nice flow. So I thank you for being willing to share that with me, and I really appreciate uh, all of you for tuning in. And I'm interested in your thoughts and ponderings. And I just appreciate this connection. So thank you so much.